before I start this video, I want to send a super heartfelt thanks to all of our first responders, our doctors, our essential service workers, like our grocery stores, our fast food restaurants, gas stations, pharmacies, and everyone who is out on the front line working incredibly hard every day to provide a safe environment for us, putting your own lives at risk. I appreciate it, as does everybody, what you are doing. And thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. You guys are heroes. Hey, everybody. Hope everyone is keeping safe and good during this crazy pandemic. It's been a whirlwind for teachers, I know, so I'm going to try to be producing some videos of some things that we can do to make online learning a little bit more exciting. And I'm hoping that through these videos, we're able to realize that face-to-face is so crucial for kids, and that interaction with them is so important. So I would like to try to bring that interaction to some capacity. And the first one I'm going to do today is going to be how I build digital breakout rooms. So digital breakout rooms, if this is totally new to you, this is the ability to create like an escape room where, you got to find clues and evidence and then, unlock locks, get more clues, et cetera, et cetera. So as you do these kinds of things, the physical makes it a lot easier to do. So I wanted to figure out a way to do it digitally. Now, by no means am I the first person to ever have figured this out or created it. But hopefully this video is a nice streamline about how you can house it all in one place. And I found a wicked trick about how to keep everything totally free, because that's a big mission of mine as a teacher, is educational resources being free and accessible to people. So I'm just going to shrink myself down here. Oop, hello. Go Raptors. God, I miss basketball. And let's get started. So this is the website that I created. Nice and simple. I mean, it's simple because it's a template I just filled out. It looks really slick. And I'm hoping to just house a bunch of digital breakouts on this that I create. And if you create them, you can send me the files and I can just put them onto my website. So if you go to the breakout tabs here, just a definition about what it is. And then my first one was for Alberta Science Curriculum. That's where I teach, and that's what I teach. I did light and optics. So when you go begin, digital breakout works by giving you a story. So this is actually a quest that they have to do normally, where they have to save some ships from a lighthouse that's about that they're going to crash because the lighthouse is not working. So they have to go fix it. So you read the story, boom, then you pop in, and then you're going to see your first lock. So how it works is you got your story, some clues. I love writing. I love the thematics of story. So to me, it's fun to go the extra mile for that kind of stuff. And then you're going to see we have the lock through a Google form, and then everything is housed in one location. And then we have a place to go here when you've solved it. And then I use some photoshopping tools to make it so that I try to bring the image that I'm talking to life. And I'll go through all of these things for sure. And then when you think you have the code, you click open, and then this is the money page on the website, where you can put different codes to be redirected around, and it's free, because a lot of websites, they'll only let you put in one code to unlock any website, which of course for a digital breakout is useless. So I found this code online. I wish I could give credit. I know his name is Mike. I found it through some crazy rabbit hole of message boards and forums, and it's just simple HTML code that I'll be sharing and showing you guys. So you need to house step number one. You need to house your game somewhere. Okay. So my choice is Weebly. Why? Because Weebly is super simple. It's drag and drop. When you get to sign up for Weebly, you just grab different templates and stuff, and then you just go edit website. And the thing that I like most about it is that this whole platform is drag and drop. So you don't need to have extensive coding or design skills. You can pick a template you like, and then you just drag and drop. So you can see right above my head here, There's just all the different things. So you want a title, boom, you click and you drag the title. And then where that blue bar is where it goes. And then you just rearrange it. And then, you want a button, you drag in a button. And then to edit anything, you just click on it. And then it says style, text, position. Where does it link to? Do you want some spacing above or below it? Whatever the case is. Actually, I'm going to shrink that bottom margin. There we go. And, all of these things are done in sections. So when you go to Weebly, why I like it is because number one, it's free. Number two, it's drag and drop. And number three, they've got tons of templates you can just reword and kind of fix everything to your liking. Now, I struggle with perfectionism. That's one of my things that I struggle with. So I took a really long time to build this because I just wanted something to look the way that I envisioned it. You can slap one of these websites together in 30 minutes or less. And then, of course, the best part is they house it for you for free. So whatever you name your website, so mine was called Heeb's Digital Breakouts.weebly.com is always your website, and it houses it totally for free. The other thing I like about Weebly, and this is not promoted or anything, this is just my personal preference. When you make your website, if I wanted to own heebsdigitalbreakouts.com, you just push a button, they do all the background work, and you have an instant .com or .org or .ca, whatever website immediately, which is incredibly cool. And I find it, I think it's $60 for 2 years, which, it's extremely fair, considering you don't have to go through the legwork of purchasing and housing and everything. It's all done with just a few clicks. People have asked me and they've said, where did you get this logo? Well, just for fun, if you're interested, you can go to this website, freelogoservices.com, and you can actually create. So let's say I wanted to put my business was a dog kennel, put it's a dog world, whatever, I don't know. And then dog world, kennels. And then you look for the type. So what it is, I'll put dogs, I'll put kennel, and then you just hit get started. And then it says, what kind of badge do you want? Do you want it? And you can select as many as you want. I'll say I want it to be an icon, and I want to see what some initial ones look like. So you hit next. What kind of fonts do you want them to predominantly use? I'll go with this font and this one. And then how do you want it to look? I'll pick, I like curved, and then I like ones that look like this. So I'll go next. And then boom, here are all your logos that you can use. And you can customize them. So let's say this one was cool. Click here. And then, you can click on the image and you're like, oh, I want it to be blue, blah, blah, blah. Click here, font size, everything. And then when you're all said and done, you can go preview. Yep, I like it. You can go save logo. Then you just got to skip all these because they're like, hey, you should buy all these products. And I'm like, nope. And then what I do is you can create an account, or I just screenshot by using the snip tool like this. And I just go like that and I snag the logo. And then you save it. And then once it is saved, actually, so then once it's saved, you have your logo. So if you're interested in doing that, you can do that. This also has tons of gamification implications because you can use it to create badges, icons, logos, whatever the case may be for your gamified classroom or platform. The second thing is if you scroll through my website, you're going to see I've got these little images. Again, I'm huge, and it's embarrassing, but I'm huge on the perfectionism side of things. So I wanted things that looked similar all the time, consistency. So in my books, I had talked about this website, flaticon.com. So if you were doing something, I'm going to be building a Japan one. So I can search sword, and then I can look and I can say, oh, I don't need to worry about that. Let's say I like this sword. You click here. It's got, maybe has some different variations. Maybe you want color or black and white. And then you click here, pick the size that you want, and then you just go free download. And then you have an icon. Boop. Don't want to sign up for free. Move my face. And you have an icon that you can use. So those are things that you can use for your digital breakout rooms on the website, or for actually creating them for kind of that symmetrical type of look. So when that's all said and done, and you've got your website built and everything is happy. The first page you have to build, when the general layout is done, is your breakout page. And this is essentially, mine will just look like this. So I'm just going to duplicate these when I'm full. And I'm going to make this a bit bigger so it's symmetrical. And when you're all done, by the way, you just hit publish. And it's as simple as that. There's your link. So I'm going to look at these and I'm going to say, yeah, everything looks pretty good to me. So I'm just going to be duplicating these. So it's going to be rows and you can pick whichever one you want. So then I'm going to hit begin. Okay. So if I were to hit begin, it would bring me to this page right here. So the first thing you got to do when you build a digital breakout room is you got to have a story. And I'd recommend no less than 3 locks because you want to have it so that it's challenging for kids. So my first task describes the story. So the first page on anything should be the story. Story is huge in gamification. It is massive. You have to create a buy-in with your kids so that they're not like, oh, well, this is exciting, I guess. You want to get them immersed the same way they're interested in books and in movies and things like that. It's through theme and story. So you create it, then what you do is you create a button, and under link, you're going to be linking it to pages, okay? So what you do is you're going to be making different pages on the side. You just go to the page tab for Weebly. And again, you could use Wix, you could use Google Sites, you could use whatever it is you prefer. Weebly's my choice. So I just go here and I go, this is the page I'm on right now. And then you create your second page. So to create my pages so that they're nice and similar, what I often do is I go here and I go copy and I create a copy of the page. All right. And once your page is copied, what it'll do is it'll pop up at the bottom down here. And then you just click on the page. First thing you do is rename it so you don't edit the wrong one. Trust me, made that mistake a ton. So I always go for organization standpoint. What I do is I always say, so if my breakout room is called lights out, I go lights out intro page, and then I go lights out puzzle number 1, and I call it whatever it is. And then it's lights out puzzle number 2, whatever it is. This is important for organization, and here's why. If I were to go to my page, if I were to go to my intro page, when you go here and link, this is then where you want the next one to jump. So I go from intro to puzzle number 1. And that's important for organization. Please keep that in mind. Now, to build your puzzle pages, what you do is you put your text in your story, as I mentioned with everything. And then there's 2 key elements you need. Number 1 is building the locks through a Google form that we're going to embed so everything is clean in one area. And the second thing is linking to the password page. So I want to explain the password page first, because this is the thing that was the game changer for me when I found this. In a digital breakout room, what you want is you want it so that the image that you're using, or the puzzle you're solving, I should say, produces a code. And then you punch in the code and it unlocks a different area, puzzle, clue, something. The downfall with a lot of websites is when you go to password protected pages, they only have one password that unlocks all of the website. So here's the workaround that I found. And it's going to look intimidating at first. Trust me, it is not. So I'm just going to shrink myself down. I'm going to put myself up over here now. Hello. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go to this page. Now, this page is nothing more than my brick background, and it says, did you solve it? If you do, always use capital letters. It's important because these passwords are completely case sensitive. And if you're correct, it's going to bring you to the right one. So to show you what this looks like on my website, if I go to breakouts and I begin my light breakout and I say good, then I go here. This is going to redirect to my password page. So you create this password page separately. And then I'm just going to punch in something wrong. When I go submit, it goes, nope, you didn't do it. So I need to make sure that I punch in the right thing. This then redirects you to the proper page. So every page has a custom password, which is the most important part of all of this. So if I go back to Weebly, this is how it works. Now, people are going to look at that and say, holy smokes, that's ridiculous. Well, watch how simple it actually is. If you go to Pages and you click Build, I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag this here, and this is HTML code right here. The code looks like this, and you ignore literally all of it until this section right here. Here's how it works. Inside these little single brackets that I've highlighted in green and purple, and there's two more, what you're going to see is you're going to see that these are the codes that I require to go to the next websites. So here's how simple as it works. All of this text and code builds everything. If you want to change the message that doesn't work, you put right here. You don't have to touch any of it, okay? So all you do in this is you ignore everything except this part here. So underneath the yellow highlight, and you can download this directly from my Google Drive folder. I'll put everything there. What you do is you simply change what's inside this text to whatever your password you want it to be. And then you put that identical one under a case. Okay, so we have case, 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 and case. So mine has 4 different passwords. This can be as long as you want. And if you need more than 4 passwords, all you do is you go here and you copy that segment and you go paste, paste, paste. And as long as you have a unique code here that matches with the values here, notice they're separated by a simple comma, then what you have is you've created the index for custom passwords for different ones. So if the kids were to type in this password, RRXETV, all capitals, case sensitive, it's going to redirect them to this, okay? That website right there. That website right there is the second page of my Breakout. So if I go to Pages, it's just going to link them here. So you don't need to buy anything. You don't need to create anything. You just need to simply have different pages that are all linked together through that HTML text. And again, all you do for the HTML text is you build a password page. One reason I really like Weebly, you can't see it because of this, and I don't think I can move this, and I'm not going to try. Yeah, I can't move it. Right under here, it says hide in navigation. This means that your password page is hidden and it's only accessed with the way you want it. So one more time, because I know that for some people, this might be a bit much. Once you get to your first puzzle, you create a button that says open the door, open the lock, whatever it is. By changing the text, you can position it, style it, whatever. And the link is always to your password page. Then on your password page, what you have is you go to build, by the way, I mentioned it again to just build up your build content. You bring in HTML code like this. You click inside the box, you go edit, and then you paste this code right there. When you do that, it'll bring up something that looks like this, where the kids can type in the different passwords. And again, you just troubleshoot it. So that code is the big game changer, because you don't have to pay for multiple websites, hosting abilities, password protections, which are often always on pro versions of things. That simple HTML code is like a redirection. Think of it like an operator in the old school phone rooms. You get the password, you patch it to the next website. So it's super cool. Fun thing you want to do. Here's how I make my passwords. I use the website textcraft.net. I've referenced this before. It's a wicked website where you can build all kinds of different fonts and things that kids recognize. There's hundreds of them. They have all kinds of different features, but it's super simple. So all I do is I like to use this because it's simple and easy to read. Of course, it matches my theme. You guys can use anything that you'd like by just simply clicking. The different layers, one thing that I found out the hard way is when you click on a layer, these are the features for just that layer, then that layer, then that one. So when I'm on this one, if I wanted my password to be, SQRTY P, for example, and I wanted it to be large and I wanted it to look like dirt, or, you can click any arcade pics. Let's do that. And then I'll go with, I'll go with a nice blue here or whatever. Then you just hit create, and then you get your code, and then you just hit download. And then you have the code text to embed inside your Google Forms. So that's a fun way just at the end to release the code. Just looks more professional, more slick. And again, it takes a matter of seconds to do. And again, the service is all free. Okay, so now we have building our passwords. We have our icons. We have a logo if you want. Next thing we want to do is how you actually build digital locks. So I'm just going to go blank quiz because it's the simplest way to start. All right, so that's all loaded. I'll just scoot myself down over here. So here's how simple as it works. Number one, you can customize your theme. If you're new to Google Forms, super simple. You just go choose an image and you can pick anything that they have, or you can use an upload of yourself for yourself. So let's say this was about magic or something. The cool part that I like about this is once you pick your theme with the header, they automatically detect the principal colors of the image, and then you can create the different feel that you want for the form. So let's say I want it to be this purple, and then I wanted my background to be kind of a darker gray. So it kind of thematically makes it match, which on a Breakout, I probably should have had linked these earlier. You can see everything kind of matches nicely with your form and then your websites. So first thing you want to do after is you want to name it. So this will just be, I'll just call this Demo Quest, or Demo Breakout, I should say. So what you do is then you name them in order. So I'm going to go 1, and this, I'll just call this logs. So what you do is there's the form, and then this is where you can put a little descriptor. I don't put a ton of the story here because what I do is I embed the actual story itself in the website. So what I typically do is right here, I typically will put in the bulk of my descriptors for the actual lock itself. So here I describe there's 8 different locks you need to go through. You have to enter words, they're case sensitive. So it's more descriptor as to where above I like to put the text. So in this demo version, I'll just put insert lock details here. So when it comes to actually making the questions, it's really simple. You just click on the box below, and then you would put question here, and you'd have it however long you need it. You can include an image. One thing that I like to do is I like to include an image of the lock. It just gives you the sense that they're working with a lock. So I have a lock picture right here that I use. So you grab the lock, boom, it pops in. Then you can click on the dots here and you can kind of center it. And then here is where I put my options. So your choices are all of these different kinds of things. My advice to you is to focus on short answer and multiple choice. Any other thing I haven't played with yet, and I'm not entirely sure how they work just yet in terms of requirements. So I'm just going to stick with short answer. So I'm going to go to short answer, and I'm going to go required. This is important because required means they have to produce an answer. And then on these dots, you're going to put response validation. So response validation means it's going to be looking for a specific detail in order to advance to the next one. So you can use numbers, any kind of text or length of things, but I like to use text. And then what you want is contain, doesn't contains, email or URL. You just want contains, and then you want the answer. So the answer was bark. You would go like this. And then if they're not right, you could put something like, please try again. So now what happens here is the kids will put in their answer. If it's not this, they're going to get the please try again message. And that's done through the required feature. Okay. Now, what I want you to notice is the following. You can add new questions to this individual sheet, or you can add a section. If you add individual questions, what occurs is then you would have multiple questions that you have to all answer before you can go to the next thing. The other thing is the new section here. So this is considered a section. So if you want to make it kind of more fun, what you do is you create a new section, and that's a different lock. So if you look back to my original one, I said there were 8 locks here. Each section becomes its own individual lock. So you put in your descriptor and you put the description here. So this would be whatever it is. Again, your lock details. So I'll go insert lock details. And then you add your question. And then from here, what's quite simple is you would just go to your short text. You would again add your lock picture. And then you would center it. And then you would type in your question here. And then again, you would go required here, response validation. And then you have the ability. So again, let's say this was numeric. So you would go equals to, and let's say they had to do 55. So you would go 55. And again, nope, please try again. Now, I'm all about theme. So instead of a please try again, if it's a lock, I'm like, you punch in the number and pull, the lock resists and doesn't open. I like to use different thematic and story things just to keep it consistent when it comes down to kind of the theme that you're going for this digital breakout room. Now, the other thing you can do is instead of having to repeat that whole process, you can actually go here and you can go to duplicate section. Now, this allows you to then just go with the same details, and the only thing you have to do is switch the question and then switch the parameters for the requirement. So this is how you can actually do it much faster once you have your first one built to your liking. You can click the triple dots and you can go to duplicate section. And again, that moves really quick. And it, just to clarify too, a section is going to be divided like this, and they always go sequentially unless you change them. I'm really going to say I don't know why you would change them unless you wanted to get insanely complex. Like with your answer, you could go to this section, or with this answer, you could go to this section. So you would sort of could create a choose your own adventure style, which would be really neat and cool, but you have to understand the complexities of it. It would take a lot of planning, and you'd have hundreds of these things if you wanted to make it really detailed. However, you could, which would be neat. So you could have them calculate, and then if they think the answer is this, they go to this section, this, they go to this section, this, they go to this section. So actually, yeah, it would be pretty neat. And now I'm going to add it to my list. So that is how you build your digital breakouts, okay? Now, to embed them nice and clean in, very, very simple. You just go to send, and you want to go to this embed option right here. And then you want to click on copy. This here is all of the code. So we have it copied. So what you would do is you would go to, and I'll just jump to one of my pages to show you. Notice that I have it ends at best of luck. So what I do is I go to build and I chuck in embed code. And then when you embed code, I center it because I am struggling with how things look all the time. And then you simply just paste it here and you change these values, these are pixels, for how wide you want it and how tall you want it. And each one of those values will be customed to your individual length of lock. Because if I had all 8 locks, I wouldn't want it to be scrolled. I'd want it to be nice and clean on one page. So you would click Edit HTML, and you would change the height maybe to like 2,925 pixels if it's really, really long, or really tall, sorry. The width of about 1080 keeps it nice and square and centered from my experience. So what do you do when you get to the end? Well, this is where we combine everything I talked about, the password and the code. I'm going to go back to my main page, and I will show you one that I've completed. I'll pick this one because I think this is my 8 lock one. Yep. So here's my detail. Here's my question. Here's my clue, my picture of the lock. And then they can punch in their answer. And my text was, you tug at the lock, but nothing happens. Try again. Notice I have text and contain. So the answer for that one is reflection. And we proceed this way all the way down till we get to the 8th lock. So here's the 8th lock. And what we do is we take it, and when we get it, we go to a 9th section. And again, you'll remember I went to TextCraft and I created a code. Well, what you download that code, as I showed you before, move me up, it turns into a graphic. So then the same way, I just went here and I went add a graphic, and I input that. And then I said that that was the code that they would need. I gave some descriptions that it's case sensitive, no spaces, capital letters, the whole bit here. And then you need an input. So what I did was I chose the input of time so that kids could answer the time that they completed it. And then you can actually go back to the results. So if I scroll up to the top, I can look at the 43 different responses that I have. And I can check all the different ways that kids answered questions, all of the different variations of times that things were. So you can see I've had things in the middle, 5:12 a.m. I had someone answer this, which is absolutely crazy. And then several at a bunch of different times, so you can see that kids are accessing it at all kinds of different times, which is fun. And that was the way that I did the closure. So once they submitted, they got their graphic, and then they are instructed here. You go to open the door, and that's where you put in your code. My code in this case is RRXETV. So I go RRXETV and submit. And then you will see that it jumps to the next one. And again, the process is all the same. You go to your Google Forms, you theme it, you customize it. Of course, if it's the same lock or same like next step in the same system, you would just use obviously the same background. So all I did was I just went here and I went to make a copy. And then when you make a copy of it, the copy will appear here. You just rename it, and then you don't have to do anything with it at all. It's actually quite simple. You just open it up and then you rebuild and retool with how you want it to look. So again, it is all fairly straightforward. The initial part is housing it on a website. But again, it's nothing that's too difficult to do. It just takes a bit of time in the initial setup. So the last thing I want to end with is the kind of locks that you can do, because you don't just want word puzzles. So I'm going to show you some ideas from my pages. So I just showed you the word puzzle. If your word puzzles are simple to hard, I recommend using a multi-lock system like this. So this kept kids engaged for a while because it wasn't just one lock, one easy word, or one incredibly hard one that was very frustrating. This creates those little shots of dopamine in the brain of success. We're like, yes, I got the lock, and they want to keep going. The next one I did. So in this one, what you're going to see is I make custom graphics. I use an online version of Photoshop, also free, which is the best thing. And what I did was I gave a clue here, and this was a numeric one. And in this case, the picture didn't have anything to do with the clue. So this was just 3 digits. It was an abbreviation of something that we'd been taught. And I kind of framed it to be magic in terms of my descriptor there. Here's a different one, though, a different way to do it. My answer is still numeric, or still alphabetic. However, I use Photoshop, and I took pictures and I made it look like they were chiseled into the wall. I know my students sometimes watch these videos, so I'm not going to speak too much about it, but I use an online editor called Photopea, and you can look for all kinds of different tutorials. So to figure out how to do this to do this one here, what I did was I Googled, how do I make something look chiseled into a wall? And the process was actually very simple. You just need a good image that has no background, and then it actually will recess it, and you set shadows to make it look. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 images in the wall. And you have to look at those images, and collectively they make a clue of 2 words. So I got the idea for this by certain things I do in my class like these. So you take images and you have to translate them into words. And then to fit them into my theme, what I do is I just made it look like it was chiseled into the wall. So that was kind of fun. And then if I go back to pages, this one drove kids crazy, which I love. You have directional locks. So these are 12 researchers we learned about. I photoshopped them all. This took some time. But again, what else am I doing right now? I mean, I'm so used to being so busy that this actually is providing me some time to get things ready for you guys and for students. I photoshopped all this together. And then what I did was I put arrows beside each researcher. So essentially they had to figure out that there was a directional lock that needed 2-step opening. So they had to do 6 slides on the direction. It would half open and then 6 more. So they had to figure out what researchers were which. They had to figure out when they occurred. They had to then match the arrows, write everything down, and then say, okay, the pattern is like up, down, right, left, up, left. And then, the next pattern is this. So this was a lot of fun. So this is how I use directional locks. You can do the same thing with colors. So you could have colors of background with these guys or colors beside them. And then they would have to type in the colors. You can use translators. So I'm going to be building one about Japan. So I can put different symbols and then I can say, I can put a symbol and say, well, what symbol does this mean in English? And then what we could do is you could have them have to, input a 3 sequence of different things using translation. So this is good for social stuff when you're using different languages or if you're a second language teacher. So this is also, if you want to be devilish, you can use a cipher, and ciphers are really fun. You can give clues, and there's super crazy complex ones here, or there's really simple ones that you can do. So you just would pick one. I will go with substitution. And then you can pick a method of encoding. So if you want to, this is really powerful to teach kids things like, for example, like Braille. So then what you would do is you would type your message. So let's say the answer you needed was sight. Actually going to give you something like this. And then you can take a little screenshot of this using the snip tool. And then you can create, and then you can create some graphics, and then kids have to learn how to cipher these things, and you can give them as much clue as you want. So my light and optics, I could say, if your sight was taken away, this is what you would have to use to read. Your code word is right in front of you, and then kids would have to figure out, find a Braille translator, figure out how to use it. So again, ciphers are a really fun thing to do. So in essence, what you can do is you can do number stuff, you can do ciphers, you can do words, you can do sentences, you can do even a choice section like we talked about. These digital breakouts are not too difficult to do. They just take some time. So if I could give you some hints, find a website to host them because they look clean and slick and they'll catch a kid's attention more than just sending them a Google form to fill out. Number 2, build it with a minimum of 3 locks, and don't have each lock be just one thing to input. When you input them, what occurs is you want to make it so that kids are getting little bits of reward as you go. And obviously, just like most games, you want to make them simple and go to hard, or harder, I should say. 3rd, trial it before you send it out. Before I sent it out, I ran through it extensively. I put in wrong codes, correct answers, tested and triple tested all the links, because if this is new to kids, you don't want them to get frustrated that it doesn't work, especially if the answers they're giving are correct. And then 4, have fun with it. Get creative. There's tons of different ways you can do this. I'm even just thinking that I never even thought about the choose your own adventure. So you could do scenarios where, which computer do you plug the USB stick in? And then you have to figure out which computer through some sort of puzzle. And then you pick that computer and then you see which one is correct. So they can actually get quite extensive. So I hope this was helpful. Before I do stop this video, I just want to show you guys Photopea. So Photopea is super easy to use, and it's an online version of Photoshop if you want to create your own kind of custom graphics like I do. And then the other thing is this website here, remove.bg, which is remove background. So this thing is very powerful. You just grab an image. So I will grab light beam, and it's actually quite impressive how quick it does. This is totally free. Sorry, my Wi-Fi conked out on me. So you can see it's pretty powerful. You can see that I don't have a differentiation of color. There's no green screen. It's just a normal picture I took for something that I was doing. Could you imagine what the heck it was? And then what I did was I just inputted it, and then it will download, and it will remove the background totally free, and then it'll download. The same company also has just released this, which is incredible. It will remove the background from videos, which I haven't tested yet, but boy, the potential is cool, because in Weebly, you could have video clues as well, because one of the build features for Weebly is to be able to put in video. And then the workaround is you can put it on YouTube and then upload a private YouTube link as well. So the possibilities are endless. Part 1, build your website. Part 2, design your theme. 3, build your locks. 4, embed it all together. And 5, release it to the world. I hope this was helpful. I kind of filmed it in chunks. So if there are any questions that you do have, please let me know. Hopefully during editing, I'll smooth it all out nice and good together. But I just want to say thanks for checking it out. Hopefully, please subscribe to this. Especially with the COVID pandemic right now, I'm more than likely going to be releasing way more content than I normally would, simply because what occurs right now is I'm trying to fill my time, and I've got a lot of it right now. So please subscribe, please like the video, please share the channel with any teachers who are looking to spice up their distance learning or want to learn more about gamification. I'm more than happy to help. And again, all of my resources are free. Please check out my website. And I hope everyone is staying safe and doing the best they can during this crazy, unprecedented time. Until next time.